Hey everybody, welcome back to another LEGO City update. Today is a very exciting day because we're going to start working on the zoo and also the mountain range, which is going to go behind the zoo. So I actually already started working on the deconstruction process of the existing zoo here. There used to be a mountain which was pushed right up against the bird aviary and also the bear enclosure there. So that no longer made sense. I decided to destroy it. Then we have the aquarium right here. It has the penguins, polar bears, and seals outside of it. There's also a large fish tank on the other side by the aviary there, and there are some dolphins within. Then we have the monkeys and chimpanzees together right here. Also lions, crocodiles, and flamingos. There's some more African stuff. We got elephants, ostrich, and giraffe. There's a black panther, and also pandas right there. There's also a fish pond in the center. These exhibits can be seen from the glass tunnels underneath or the raised walkways above. And I just like how everything is tiled off in different colors. I think that looks really cool. There's also a couple restrooms, one on either side of the entrance there. There was a food stand over there, and there still is my custom panther souvenir stand right there. I think this zoo is pretty cool. Like, I really enjoyed building it, and I can't wait to rebuild it here in the new city. It's actually going to be much larger. It's going to span this full width right here, which is 3.5 base plates. So we're going to gain half a base plate right there, unless I decide to put some sort of large parking lot right here. Haven't quite decided yet what I'm going to do with that additional half base plate, I guess. But I do know for sure that it's going to span the entire width of this table, going up to the hospital there, which is actually 7 base plates. So it looks like we're going to get 2 additional base plates of width on that side. So what I need to do is actually carry up all these modulars to my desk. Luckily, they do break apart. So for example, I can grab that one. I believe this is one module here. Yep, and then there'll be a few more modules as well, such as that one and this one, and then the aquarium and bird aviary. It all sort of splits apart. I'll bring this up to my desk, have a look at it, and try and come up with a new design based on these dimensions. It's going to be a little bit difficult to keep the old design and come up with a new design. I think there's going to be a lot of deconstruction which is going to happen because I just want to build something new for the LEGO City. I've had this design for quite some time, and I think it's time for a change. So let's get started.
First thing I have to do is put away all these parts that I sorted the other day. So we've got a whole bunch of drawers and a whole bunch of bins full of sorted parts. Love it. There's so many slopes, bricks, plates, rock panels, just everything you need for creating a pretty cool landscape. And a lot of these parts are going to come in handy for when it comes to building the zoo and also the mountain behind the zoo. Just got to get all those put away, and then I can start laying the framework for the new zoo. So I lay out 8 of the 48 by 48 gray base plates and then 3 of the 32 by 32 green base plates. And then I bring up the existing zoo so I can start to visualize what this is going to look like. And then I proceed to just shift these things around, make sure I can get them all on the table there. I decide to put the zoo on the far right where we have that small table. And that'll give me a nice big open surface of studs to work on the new zoo. So here we go, we've got the existing zoo, all the different modules for that, and now I'm just thinking to myself, how can I transfer some of this stuff onto this new surface? That's a lot of space to work with, that's for sure.
The first thing I decided to do is just transfer the existing entrance to the zoo onto the new plates. I really do like this entrance. I think it's a cool design. I will work on making some improvements to it. For example, the vegetation on the backside, there was a couple palm trees, and then there's also these bamboo pieces. I think the vegetation can be improved and other things about it can be improved as well, but for now it's a great placeholder. And I centered it on the 7 base plates. So that sort of puts it awkwardly between these 2 48 by 48 plates, but I think that's going to work out well. When I make these giant mill plates for the zoo, I'll probably keep them with the 2 base plates. So this one's 2 of the 48 by 48s. Right there we'll have 2 of the 48 by 48s as well. Same with there, and then the 3 32 by 32s on the side to make it 7 base plates wide. So I think that'll work. Now what I want to do is start to add some elevation to the zoo. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. So when you come in the entrance, I think there's going to be a green space rather than a fish pond. A lot of zoos that I've been to, when you walk in, there's usually some nice vegetation right when you walk in. I know the Edmonton Zoo is like that, and also the Animal Kingdom. It's not really a zoo, it's an amusement park, but it's sort of similar to that as well. There's some nice vegetation when you walk in. Now, it would be ideal to start my elevation here. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. Because if I start my elevation here, like if I have some of the ramps going up to the next tier, if for example, these mills plates back here, rather than being 1 brick, they're 3 bricks tall, or 4 bricks tall even, like that. I've just got to figure out how I'm going to get the walkways up to that height. And of course, if I want to mills plate those all at 3 bricks tall, it's going to take a tremendous amount of 2x2 bricks. I do realize that I can use Duplo for supports, but unfortunately I just don't have a whole lot of Duplo, so it doesn't really make sense for me to use because it would involve me buying a bunch of Duplo. And Duplo is compatible with your standard Lego bricks. I have done that in the past, but I just don't have a whole lot of it, and I've got a lot of 2x2 right now, so I will be using that as well. Just one thing that's sort of clouding my mind, once again, is the elevation, because I know I want to start elevating this and have a mountain in the background, but how am I going to do that across the entire back there? Just like the sheer amount of parts that is going to take is sort of playing tricks with my mind right now. So I guess I just need to work on the base layout. Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to continue, because that's the way I do things. I just build. I'm sort of like a visual person when it comes to building Lego and massive MOCs, and I just need to continue working. And eventually I'll be able to transfer some of these existing exhibits onto the new plates and just continue expanding them and changing them up. For example, I think this aquarium is pretty cool, but maybe the outdoor areas need to be a little bit larger. For example, the polar bears, that's unrealistically small, but the reality is do I really want to give polar bears an entire 48 by 48 plate? Not really. So the animals aren't going to get like the biggest enclosures because, well, you just can't have as many varieties of animals then. For example, if I were to have just polar bears there and elephants over here, well, then I'm only going to have like 6 different types of animals here. I would love to give them more space, but this is Lego, so I've just got to work within the space that I have and the space that I'm willing to allocate to the zoo, if that makes sense. And just for fun, I decided to time-lapse the process of me transferring the entrance from the existing mills plate onto the new mills plate. Also, I rebuilt that brown wall, which I do like. I think we can add some vegetation to that brown wall like I've had in the past, like a bunch of palm leaves and stuff like that. And I also just laid a bunch of 2x2 brick, 4x6 dark bluish gray plate, and also some 4x4 green plate to create the green and dark gray space. What I've done is just gone around and create a mills plate border for the zoo using the 2x2 brick and the 4x6 dark bluish gray plate. And I went around the entire perimeter. And I did add a little bit of elevation as well. It starts right here at the halfway mark. So it goes up 2 bricks, and there's just a stud gap there so I can create a ramp wherever the walkways might be. And I'm thinking I'm going to do that all the way across the backside at the halfway point. So half the zoo will be raised up 2 bricks, and there could be certain areas that are maybe raised up a little bit more or even lowered a little bit more depending on what animals are going there. For example, if I'm going to do the bear exhibit over here and I want a watering hole that's actually buried into, or like sunk into the mills plate, then I can do that. And that's why I haven't mills plated the entire thing yet, because I don't want to go ahead and mills plate it and then be like, oh no, I need to add a watering hole over here, and I need some depth over here for a fish pond, and I need more depth over here. I may as well start to like lay those things out before I just go ahead and mills plate this entire thing. Although I sort of want to mills plate the entire thing because it would look really cool. Like, look how big it is. It's just massive. When you look from this angle, the additional expansion plates just added so much to this. Like, it is just huge. So I'm thinking the mountains are going to go in the background. And there's going to be water coming off those mountains, like a waterfall potentially. Maybe like a small one. I don't know if that's going to go on the left or right side, but I do think it's going to be somewhere. And I know for a fact that the Lego city over here has a canal running through it. And it actually connects to the access hole in the city. Like, the access hole is right here on the side of the zoo, and the canal is right over here. So thinking of that, well, what I could do potentially is actually have a waterfall come down off the mountain, which is going to be behind it, And then there could be a river or a creek that actually flows through the zoo and then just goes off the side of it, technically connecting with the canal. And I think that would be really cool because we could have this creek that could run through multiple different animal enclosures. And I think that would just be so neat for like the storytelling, and also just break up the color of it. There'd be a nice blue, like sort of meandering stream throughout the entire thing. So I think that's probably the next thing I'm gonna work on. I took a time lapse of that as well. So here I go, just building the perimeter using the dark bluish gray plate and the 2x2 brick, just making sure I lock in all my seams between the base plates and making sure I just get that step up evenly distributed throughout the zoo as well. So it's even across the entire midway point there. And once I get that done, it's time to just build that wall or fence that's going to go around the zoo. And I could play with this. I could add some more colors in the future, but I got a lot of these profile bricks or palisade bricks right now, so I'm going to keep it like that. And I just think that's really good to get the foundation laid, get our borders set for the zoo, and now we can continue adding more detail, or at least start plotting out where the detail is going to go. In order to build a meandering stream, I need more of the 4x6 plates. I bought a whole bunch from the pad wall the other day, but then I forgot. Oh yeah, I used them all in the ocean. Like the deep blue sea area, we used a ton of those. And I know the tiling over there isn't all done, but I did all the plate work, so we used like all the ones I bought from the pad wall the other day. I scoured through my unsorted parts and I pulled out as many as I could from my sorted parts, and that's where the stream ends for now. You can see it's going to come down from a waterfall right there in the corner, and then it's going to weave through some of the exhibits, and then it's probably going to come this way and pool right there and then feed out through the side of the zoo there. I'm thinking that would be pretty cool to have like a pool right there in front of the aquarium. The aquarium is probably going to go right here. I did rip it apart, removed it from its mills plate, and actually made it one solid unit by putting more plates on the bottom of it. So now this thing can move around freely, which is good because it's not going to be tacked in place. What I can do is just lock it in place with tiles around the perimeter or something. So that's probably what I'll do in the future. It's just going to be something that can move around rather than ripping it apart every time I want to move it. Just think it makes more sense to have it sort of modular. And I think it's going to go right there. Like before, it was right when you walked in the zoo is right there, but that's how my zoo has always been. So I think if I bring it to the side, I think it just is going to change it up. And the aquarium might get changed up itself as well. It is a mock that has gone through a couple different phases of construction, and maybe it's time to put it through a third. For example, like I was mentioning, the polar bears and the seals and also the penguins, they might get a bigger space. And honestly, the dolphins within should get a bigger space as well. So maybe that should move. But there has been suggestions in the past to say, hey, well, maybe you should just make the aquarium separate from the zoo altogether, because for the most part in real life, aquariums are separate from the zoo. So this could be like its own little modular building somewhere in Lego City as well. But I do think it'd be cool to have the stream feed through here and pool right there. As you can see, I made it one brick lower than the mills plate. So you'll see some colorful stuff. There's some colorful brick on the edge of it. So what I'll probably do is try to widen it once I get more 4x6 plates. So for example, right now it's 6 studs right here, and then it's 8 studs over here, and some of the parts are a little wider. But what I would like to do is make it 12 studs all the way along. And then what I can do is blend in those colorful bricks with like gray brick or slopes, depending on where it is. Like if it's on a walkway, then it might be gray brick. But if it's in an enclosure, it'd probably be like some sort of vegetation. So I have the height to do that there, but I just want to make sure that I have the width to do that blending as well, because if I start putting a slope here and a slope here, well, now I only have 2 studs of water, so I'll make it like 12 studs, and then I'll build it up in some parts, and I'll change it up. So that'll be the goal with that. And all of this space will be dedicated to animal enclosures here, and here as well, probably some sort of pond. There'll be animal enclosures back there as well. I have to figure out how I'm going to do my viewing areas as well. In the past, I had the raised viewing area, so I'll have to decide what I'm going to do with that as well. So here we go, this time lapse, it shows me taking apart that aquarium there and just converting it onto its own separate entity, although some of it's out of the camera, sorry about that. And then I go through and I try to modify / add to this Mills plate work here to embed that creek that's gonna run through the center of the zoo. I'm really happy that I was able to start this project today. Like, this is just gonna be massive at the Lego City. Like, wow, it's 7 base plates wide, which is pretty darn impressive if you ask me. I definitely want to change it up from the old zoo and add a lot more like vegetation. I still want to make it all tiled off and have the nice walkways. And then once again, I want to add that mountain backdrop as well. So I'm not sure if this aquarium will have to shift forward for that or if it'll be built right into the mountain. And I also don't know what I'm going to do with that aviary as well. What we could do is potentially expand the zoo backward another plate, and maybe the aviary could be like built into a mountain. That might be pretty cool. There's lots of different options here. There's so many different things that you can do with a Lego zoo.
Because it's pretty much like one big landscape, which I thoroughly enjoy building out of Lego. Hey, you've probably noticed that we have switched over to a time lapse. What I've done here is I've actually compiled all the time-lapse footage that we took today, and I'm condensing it into 1 minute. And it took about 5.5 hours to build all this today. And I mean, among other things as well, of course, you don't build as fast as a set necessarily just because I'm building this off the top of my head. It's like, okay, is the raised elevation gonna go here? Is the creek gonna go there? Where's the aviary gonna go? Where's all the different exhibits gonna go? So it just takes a little bit longer when you're trying to like visualize where this stuff is going to go. But that's half the fun, right? That's the fun of custom Lego building, specifically huge projects like this. Like a zoo, how many base plates is it? 7 times 3.5. It's a lot. So it's definitely going to be a fun project that I'm going to be able to work on over the next short while. I hope to get this done relatively soon.
I can't wait to continue on this project in the near future. That's all I have time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more great stuff coming out in the near future. And have yourselves a fantastic day. Bye for now.